Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Sargent number 1 KB-3. This is one of the standard cylinder one of the group, it's the 1 KB family of cylinder collars. The -3 simply refers to the projection from the face of the door, and otherwise it's a pretty typical and common cylinder collar. Let's take a closer look at this dimensionally. So the spring's going to come right out, and the role of the spring really is to, when the cylinder is threaded in, it's going to keep the ring itself tight to the face of the door. Not that you can't spin it, because that's the design of this. If someone were to try a wrench attack and get that and try to crank that cylinder over, that collar's just going to spin, and that's the design. But the spring is meant to keep that tight to the face of the door so that it's not vibrating on the door every time you use it. And that spring is going to allow you to be able to get who knows, 3 or 4 revolutions of that mortise cylinder just to the point of exactly where you want it before it'll bottom out, giving you the ability to make a nice installation on there. So the best way to serve this video is to give you some dimensional properties. And I also call this 32D. Maybe. 32D is marginally magnetic when it's been machined and worked. This, I think, is very marginally magnetic. Brass is completely not magnetic at all. They're calling it 32D, which means it's made of solid stainless with a brushed finish. The magnet seems to be telling me it's very marginally magnetic, which tips us off that it is actually 32D, or 630. Overall thickness of the ring, and that's where the 9/16 comes in. My caliper says 0.559, so quite close to 9/16. Now, the dimension of the recessed area is really what I want you to know. And according to my caliper, that's 0.264. 0.264 is how deep that area is. So just greater than a 1/4 inch. 0.264. So that leaves the wider area at 0.3, basically, 0.305. This area right here where the head of the cylinder will fit against, or will ultimately get quite close to compressing against. Okay, so that's our dimensional properties. Let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at the cut sheet for this item. So this is the item that we're looking at. Okay, 9/16 Rosette, satin stainless steel. The link to the manufacturer's page is here, and there will be a link to this cut sheet by the time you're seeing this video. And we're going to fire up the product catalog. It's not an insignificant document, that's to be sure. Sargent's been in business since 1860, plus or minus, and they have been full force, full throttle ahead for the last 160 plus years, or thereabouts. I'm going to do a find function on my keyboard for 1 KB, and that's going to search the document. And I know that my cut sheet I know what the page looks like, the catalog, in the catalog that this comes from, and here it is. So the 1 KB, this is going to be the standard cylinder collar for 8200 series mortise locks. So what I'm saying is, what that means is, if you buy a standard mortise lock, yep, it's coming with the 1 KB, is what it's going to come with. Okay. And number 90 blocking rings when cylinders project from doors. So you'll use this 1 KB with the 90. The 90 will go down first, and then the 1 KB will sit on top of it. And that's when you need to stack them together to accommodate a longer cylinder length. You may have a 7-pin interchangeable core that's going to be, let's say, 1.5 inches long. yeah, you're going to need a cylinder collar. There's no doubt about that. You're going to need one, you know, quite longer than even the 1KB-4. Free spinning to protect cylinder from vandalism. Consult 8200 series catalog for Rosette application details. Furnished standard with the 8200 LN and L Rose design mortise trim. Cast brass, bronze, or stainless. 1.5 inch oh, I didn't give you that diameter. I will give you the outside diameter when we switch back to the camera view. It includes the compression spring, and we're dealing with the 1KB-3. And the question is which is the standard when you order the 8200 series lock? And the cut sheet that we have listed down below also gives us that. Here, 1KB Rosette standard. It's standard on the 7900. And 1KB Rose, the 1KB-1 is the standard for the 8200 series lock as listed there. Now we can, you can scroll through the rest of the document and it will show you, it's standard on the 8200. It will also give you an idea of where it shows up on your 8200 series lock and what you ought to use depending on the cylinder size. So if you're familiar with Sargent, you know the 41's a pretty common length cylinder. That's a reference to the length. 42 and 43 are simply longer cylinders. They give you the door thickness here and then which collar to use. So the document's handy in that regard. Okay, back to our link to the manufacturer's page. Again, as seen here. Now that document, this link is very handy because it will allow you to review not only all of the Sargent products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as link to the full product catalog that we have. And other encyclopedic documents are listed here as well. For instance, if you're looking for a parts manual for their material, you are definitely going to find Sargent Parts List Master Index. I know that we have just recently added some of their high security cylinder manual, like the degree key cylinder manual is here. Small format standard and XC keying and assembly manual. So encyclopedic documents that are really helpful. An overview of the XC series cylinders, again a high security platform. Their F1 Queso is another high security cylinder platform that they have. They don't have a technical manual for that I'm aware of. It must exist, they just don't publish it. Which is part of the Queso system. There is no, locksmith pinning of that material. That's a dimple key system, and part of the advantage of the Queso system is that everything is done at the factory, which gives you complete and total assurance that no one will be, virtual assurance that no one will be getting keys copied of your very high cost, very high security cylinder installed system. Let's wrap up this video on camera. So the one dimension that I wanted to give you was the outside diameter of the cylinder collar itself. And that is 1.476. 1.476 on the outside diameter. Okay. Now, the name Sargent is quite synonymous with commercial caliber, grade 1, not only grade 1, but an incredibly mature product line of commercial hardware. And what I mean by mature is they have been in business for so many decades, a century and a half plus. There are catalogs that are listed and linked to above, back on the manufacturer's page, where you can review some incredibly old archival catalogs. If you wanted to look back in time and see what Sargent was making 150 years ago, you can practically do that with a catalog that we have listed there. When you look through their current product catalog, you're certainly going to see a catalog that may be quite intimidating initially because of how they run everything with how much of it is with a prefix system. But I generally find when you get to the category section and get to then those pages that apply to what you're trying to work with, you can get the quick codes or the two-digit prefix extensions that will allow you to define what you're asking for. But there's always a how to order in all of their sections. Their technical support is quite responsive, very helpful. They act as if they're a partner in the process, and I appreciate that. Any questions on the 1KB-3 cylinder collar from Sargent or any other Sargent product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.